File number 003. Status: Declassified. This is the most lopsided trade in modern warfare. On one side, a machine that costs about $500, parts you could order online. On the other, a main battle tank that costs up to $5 million. And the cheap one is winning. Not occasionally, routinely, dozens of times a day. A weapon assembled in a garage is rewriting a doctrine of armored warfare that stood for 80 years. Here's what's actually inside the file. The weapon is called an FPV drone, first-person view, and the name tells you where it came from. This started as a hobby, racing quadcopters, flown by people wearing goggles that show a live feed from a camera on the drone, as if you're sitting in the cockpit. The core of it is genuinely just consumer electronics. A carbon fiber frame, 4 motors, a flight controller, a radio receiver, a small camera, and a video transmitter. None of it is exotic, none of it is classified. You can buy every part of it commercially. The military edition is one thing, a warhead, typically a shape charge taken from something like an RPG round, strapped on with zip ties or a 3D printed mount. That's the entire concept, a racing drone plus a warhead flown directly into a target. Total cost, somewhere between $300 and $500 depending on the parts. Now compare that to what it destroys. A Russian T-90 main battle tank costs roughly $4.5 million. An American M1 Abrams runs around $8 million. Decades of engineering, tons of armor, a crew of trained soldiers, and a $500 drone can disable it. Here's the number that breaks the math. Researchers have described the cost-exchange ratio as roughly 7,500 to 1. For the price of a single tank, you could build thousands of the drones designed to kill it. But there's a catch that's just as important, and most coverage skips it. These drones miss. A lot. Experienced operators report hitting stationary targets maybe half the time in good conditions. Against a moving vehicle with electronic jamming, the hit rate can drop to 20 or 30%, so you don't send one drone, you send many, and even when it takes 30 drones to guarantee one kill, the math still wins. 30 drones at $500 each is $15,000 to destroy a multi-million-dollar machine. Analysts have estimated the real-world cost of destroying an armored vehicle this way at around $1,000 to $2,000 per kill. Once you average in the misses, that is the number that keeps defense economists awake at night. So why does this matter beyond one battlefield? Because of what it does to the entire economic logic of how wars are equipped. For about 80 years, since the Second World War, the logic of armored warfare was simple. Build expensive, heavily protected machines, and the side with better and more numerous armor tends to win. Tanks were the spearhead. The cheap drone breaks that logic. A foundation that studies these things put it bluntly. This cost asymmetry undermines the fundamental economic basis of armored warfare as it's been practiced since 1940. When any concentration of vehicles can be found and hit within minutes by a swarm of cheap drones, you can no longer mass your forces the way armies have for generations. The tank doesn't disappear, but it stops being the thing that leads the attack. And here's the part that reframes everything. The decisive factor is no longer engineering. It's manufacturing volume. Whoever can produce these cheap weapons fastest, in the largest numbers, holds the advantage. Production capacity becomes as strategically important as the weapons themselves. Now bring this home. This is where North America comes in. The U.S. military is built around the opposite philosophy. Small numbers of extremely expensive, extremely capable platforms. Aircraft carriers, stealth jets, tanks that cost $8 million each. The Pentagon has noticed the problem. In its 2026 budget, the U.S. set aside over $13 billion for AI and autonomous systems and launched a program called Replicator, an explicit attempt to field thousands of cheap, autonomous drones quickly, to catch up to a kind of warfare American industry wasn't built for. Think about that contrast for a second. $13 billion to learn how to build the thing that costs $500. Now here's where Analyst BB7 has a theory. And to be clear, this is speculation, not confirmed fact. The official framing is that the US is adapting, that programs like Replicator will let American industry catch up and master cheap mass-produced drones. Maybe. But here's what doesn't quite add up to me. The entire American defense industry is built on the opposite incentive. The money is in the expensive platform. A company earns far more selling one $8 million system than $10,500 one. The whole structure, the contracts, the profits, the careers, points toward exquisite and expensive, not cheap and disposable. So when I hear, "we'll adapt," the question I can't shake is this. Can an industry built entirely around expensive things genuinely learn to win at cheap things, when cheap is the opposite of how everyone in it gets paid? I can't prove the adaptation will fail. Nobody can yet. But the incentives are pointing the wrong way, and that's the part the official optimism never quite addresses. File closed, for now. The $500 machine didn't get smarter than the $5 million one. It just got cheap enough and numerous enough that being expensive stopped being an advantage. For 80 years, the winning move was to build something better. The uncomfortable lesson of this file is that sometimes the winning move is just to build something cheaper and build a lot more of it. Next file. A bomber so expensive the United States only ever built 21 of them, and why each one is worth more than its weight in gold, literally. Subscribe before it's declassified.